Good morning, everyone. It's Wellness Wednesday, and I hope you're well wherever you are. And if you're just about to go to bed, I hope you've had a wonderful day and you've managed to achieve some things at home and feel good about your day, and you are ready for a restful sleep. So, thanks for joining me today. And I thought I'd start off today. I'm a bit hot and sweaty, and I've just been vacuuming and mopping the floor. And that's what some of us are doing almost full time right now, is cleaning up messes and vacuuming the floor. And with the two small girls, I'm constantly vacuuming up messes 3 to 4 times per day. And they are learning to feed themselves. And last night I made brown rice, fried rice, eggy rice. And so the dining area was covered in eggy rice, and this morning they had rice bubbles for breakfast, so the living room floor was covered in rice bubbles. So I've just managed to get all of that cleaned up. I'm now feeling decidedly hot and sweaty. And in North Queensland, where I am right now, our summer returned this week with 30-degree days, which after a few weeks of milder temperatures, it was nice which we were enjoying, thinking autumn had arrived. We are now back to summer again. So you do notice that difference just in a few degrees from autumn to winter, autumn to summer rather. I had a letter from a friend in London last night, just outside of London, actually, in Berkshire. Hi, Sarah. I hope you're well. Thank you for your note. I've had a lot of lovely letters back overnight, which has been beautiful, and I'm enjoying reading them as I go about my day. But they talked about also how the weather is beautiful in the UK. And it strikes me at the moment, whilst we have less rushing around to do and less places to be, we get to really enjoy the weather, and we really get to enjoy hearing the birds. And I've had several birds making home in my house recently. Yesterday, a small finch was trying to build a nest on my roller door in the shed. A kookaburra has been sitting on my garage roof and looking in the kitchen and laughing at me. I've got two humongous pelicans living on the river outside, and they tease me all day swimming around on the river. And my plover chicks and plover mum have been getting cross at me every time I have to go in and out of the front yard. So the bird life is phenomenal, and I'm actually really, really, really enjoying it. And I hope that you have a chance to appreciate nature where you are as well. So I just thought I would reflect on that mess a little bit. And my eldest daughter is, because of her fears around choking from when she was younger, she does need quite a bit of support with her eating. So she's nervous to kind of eat things on her own. And, at this time, I'm trying to chop up kale and spinach and hide it in things and mix it all up in the eggy rice and various other dishes that I'm making. So, she's a little bit adverse to things that look like vegetables that might choke her. So she does need a lot of encouragement. And meal times at my house tend to be quite draining for me, because I have to put a lot of effort into encouraging them to eat. And when they pick up the spoon and put food in their mouths on their own, it's a huge moment of celebration for myself internally. And I try not to do my happy dance every time they take a mouthful of food on their own, but internally that's how I feel. I bumped into a friend the other day at when I was doing some groceries, and with the same age, and she has children who are all grown up and have left the nest. So she's an empty nester at 45, and I am a mother duck with two small chicks at 45. So we're at very different ends of the spectrum in terms of our journey. And it strikes me a lot when I think about all the people I know around the world, how this stage that we're in right now is impacting each of us very differently. And my friend and I joked about, what we used to do when we were young, and also what foods we've been making that reminded us of our childhood. And her and I both grew up in the country, and we were both homeschooled. And we became pen pals when we were about 8 or 9. And I'm now writing letters, and since then now communicating on social media for the best part of 37 years. So it's phenomenal that she's still in my life, and I now see her face to face, whereas in the olden days, when she became my pen pal, I'd never met her, and indeed I'd never even seen her face. Um, so I was homeschooled from year 1 to year 6, and I had two busy working parents at home. And I tend to forget a lot about the homeschooling side of my life, really, because it never comes up in grown up conversation, and it's never come up in any interviews that I've had. Oh, where did you do your primary school education? Oh, well, my mum taught me, so I never have really ever had to talk about that before, but I have thought about it quite a lot over the last few weeks and reflected on, what skills homeschooling education taught me. And just to give you an example, in those days, we did not have internet, we did not have electricity for some of the time, and I didn't even see my teacher, for instance. So I never saw my teacher's face, and I didn't know who she was. And my interaction with my teacher was quite limited to her comments at the bottom of my workbook, which got sent away to her. So what happened really was every December we'd receive a huge parcel. It was like Christmas, and we'd go through it and we'd look at all our schoolwork for the coming year. And we would have English and maths and science in workbook format, printed workbook format. And what we generally used to do was start working on it right away. And by July the following year, we would generally have been finished all of our work. So for the next 6 months of the year, we would not do schoolwork. And usually I'd start my school at the kitchen table at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be finished by 9 or 9:30 the day's work. And I would then help my mum with chores, cooking, cleaning. I would milk the cows all alone by the age of 7, and I would go out and do work, labouring work. And those skills that I've learnt, such as, good work ethic, life skills, independence, resilience, how to cook, how to clean up, how to work hard for money, none of those skills are listed on my CV. And indeed, have they ever come up in interview conversation. But I think they are really, really important life skills. And nowadays, we are so focused on providing experiences for our children, especially living in cities, that we kind of forget about the basic life skills that they might be missing out on. So, I know that there's a lot of anxiety for people who have older children in year 12, and I was also thinking about that. And one thing I realized is that, at university, the independence and resilience that I learned from homeschooling really helped me, because when I had a lecturer who was boring or didn't explain things properly, or I felt that the class wasn't interesting, I would just stay at home and study from my books myself. And I had 3 jobs when I was at university. So I, worked hard to pay for my, basic living costs and to eat. And I managed to get my science degree. So, my parents didn't finish high school. My mum didn't finish high school. My dad did finish, when I say high school, I mean year 10. They both had only a year 10 education. And so, and they worked from home very, very hard. So I still managed to attain a science degree. I've still got all the jobs I've wanted in my life, and I've still traveled the world and had an interesting and fruitful career. So there's no huge disadvantage to having to be at home during this time. And I had 6 years of homeschooling, whereas most people will have probably 6 weeks at the most. Some people might have slightly longer. When I was at universities, and even more recently when I did a business diploma, I didn't necessarily study consistently all the time. Sometimes I just waited and crammed at the end, and that's often what happens in life as well. You get busy and you have to cram a lot at the end. So, these are all just things to think about, and I wanted to share that story to hopefully show you an example of a homeschool child, and equally that some stories that you can share with your children if they're feeling anxious. And the message in all of that really is that all you can ever do is your best. And I know that my parents did their best and they needed to work and put food on the table, and we all need to work and put food on the table. So on any given day at the moment, you can just do your best. And that's an important thing to think about, that are you um, doing your best, or are you pushing yourself too hard, or are your expectations too high, or are you putting a lot of pressure on yourself to kind of make everything perfect at home, when the reality is that there's rice bubbles and rice all over the floor, and it's a disgusting mess and you can't concentrate. So, I just wanted to kind of share that message, because that really flows into our thinking interventions and our well-being and our health around this time, because our health and well-being around this time is the most important thing in the world, really. So um, if we are worrying about the pressure and expectations that we're setting for ourselves, we're not necessarily focused on what's best for our own health and our own well-being. And your thoughts can negatively influence how you feel, and as well as your emotions, which can then negatively impact how your what choices you're making for your health and well-being. So I just wanted to encourage you to think a little bit about that as well, because there's our physical health, which is our lifestyle, our diet, our exercise, excuse me, and then there's our mental health, which is our thinking, our feeling, our emotions, etc. So those two things, obviously, we want to be in balance and healthy as much as we can during this time, and to take a reality check on our mindset and where our head is at. So there's some useful things you can do around thinking interventions, and if you've developed thinking interventions in the past, I encourage you to write some down. If you'd like some insights on thinking interventions relative to your personal situation or your life, just give me a thumbs up in the comments below, and I will reach out to you and we can set about maybe having a 20-minute free call where I help you develop some of your own thinking interventions. And tomorrow I'm going to record an online module about thinking interventions, and if you'd like access to that, you can again give me the thumbs up and I will send you the unique link to download that module. So yes, and really for me this week, yesterday I received the final amalgamated version of my audiobook, so I now need to listen to that end to end, and I will then be able to start distributing it this weekend. So that's hugely exciting to have a compiled audiobook of Broken to Unbreakable, and I can't wait to start sending it out to those that have pre-ordered it. And I've just got a few more techie things to do, and then that book will be on the platform which distributes it to all market platforms for audiobooks. And just before I came on this call, I received a message from my publisher to say that the new layout edits have been completed. So again, I will be trotting off to Officeworks to print that and to read it cover to cover to finalize any last minute edits before we go to print. So it's all happening with the book. If you haven't ordered a copy yet, you can do so, or just give me the thumbs up in the comments below. The audiobook and ebook is on a very special price of just $10 for the next few days until I submit it to all the online platforms, because once it goes to the distributing online platforms, I have no control over the price. So the special price that I've set of $10 is just for people who order through my website and who I distribute it to directly. So thanks for your support of my book. It's a huge, exciting day, and thank you for listening to this live. I hope you're well. If you need some help or support, please reach out to me, a thumbs up in the comments, and I'll get in touch with you. Thank you so much. Take care. I'm Chrissy Regan. Bye.